topics, including how to hold the violin correctly, how to position the bow correctly, and then we're also going to be finishing up with the D major scale. So let's go ahead and let's get into it. When you first start out, you want to make sure that the student is holding the violin correctly. So you don't want to see it like this, you don't want to see them holding it like that, you also don't want them to hold it like this. When we're holding the violin, we want to make sure to tuck it in under our elbow as such, just like that. Make it nice and snug and tight, that way the violin isn't going anywhere. Then, when we're ready to play, we're going to follow a series of steps, so look, watch closely. We're going to stand to our feet, we're going to stand real close and tight, we're going to turn our feet outwards just slightly, then we're going to take a wide step, and with our knees just bent, not too much, too drastically, but you do want the knees nice and just relaxed. Then when we go to grab the instrument, we want to put our fingers right here, nice and tight over the instrument, right beside the bridge, or beside the wood. On the back, we have our thumb along this ridge here, holding it nice and tight. So when you take the violin, you want to stop the traffic, turn it upside, turn the scroll down, and point the scroll upwards, tilt it upwards like that, and then we're gonna zoop, just like that. So then you can see right there, it's nice and tight. Now the student should be able to hold the violin from this point. So they should be able to just keep it right there and then have their hands freely at their side, and that is nice and secure. When we go to take the violin back, we take it, grab it in that same method with the thumb underneath on the ridge line. Take it like that, and then we put that right back under the elbow, or the armpit, excuse me. So let's repeat that one more time. We're going to take our hand right here, make sure it's tucked in nice and tight. We're going to take it, stop the traffic, turn the scroll over, point the scroll upward facing us, and then shoop, bring it in nice and tight, and then just leave it as such. Now something you want to avoid is to make sure that they're not holding the violin like this, they're not holding the violin way out here like this. You want to make sure it's like right in here, which is why it's important to follow those steps. When you stop the traffic straight out from you, turn it up and face it in and over, that will avoid all of those problems. So that is how, in a nutshell, how to hold the violin properly. Now let's get into using the correct bow hold. So I'm going to set the violin down here to my left. We are going to start using the bow. So how do you hold the bow properly? If you've watched my cello tutorials, it's somewhat similar to the cello hold, but for those of you who haven't, let's go ahead and let's break it down. So when we are holding the bow, one thing we want to make sure is to just find about the first ridge on fingers like that. Just take it, slide it down. First ridge right there you can see on my finger. Just take that and slide it down. Then second and third, or the third and fourth fingers here, second and third if you're using violin fingerings, they will hang over just like this, and they will hang over right about where this area is, this black piece, and then right there, right by the frog. And then this index finger is going to hang loosely over here. You don't want it over too far, but you also don't want it on top. You want it hanging right about at the first ridge of your index finger, just like that. Pinky this is different than the cello, is going to go on top, right on top like this. So it should not be hanging over, it should be riding on top to add stability and balance. You can see right there. The thumb, this is perhaps the most crucial one. So I'm going to point this here, and as you can see, the thumb should ride right here in on the shelf. You can see those two parts right there, should ride in on the shelf, and it should be slightly bent. It should not be straight or like this. That's going to provide or cause tension in your hold. So make sure this thumb is bent. Make sure the pinky is on top, riding on top, just like that. And that the second and third fingers, I'm using violin fingerings here, second and third fingers should be nice and close together. The pinky and the index finger should be somewhat spread out to provide stability. Make sure again that thumb is bent. If you need to, stabilize the bow with your left hand, or your left hand in this case, and make sure that you have proper hold. Then take it just like that. And that is roughly a proper violin hold or bow hold right there. So let's go ahead and now let's break it. Let's get into our scale our D major scale. So we're going to start out, going to take the instrument, remember, process here, stop the traffic. You can also do this while you're sitting down. Turn the violin over, point it up, just like that. So now when we're playing a D major scale, you're gonna find the D string, which is the second string from the top. So it's not the lowest string, but it's the next one over. So that's a D right there. So when we're playing the D major scale, we're going to, here's our first finger goes on the first note, second and third. Again, using violin fingerings. For if you're a pianist, this would be second, third, and fourth, but we're talking strictly violin fingering, so first, second, and third. So we're going to be doing this. We're going to just pluck the D major scale. Now here we switch strings to the A string. Back down to the D string. You may also, as you notice there, I struggled a little bit finding that G. Make sure that you're using correct tonality and intonation, and that you're making the proper sound, and that your students, if you're a teacher here watching this, that your students are making the proper sound. So let's go ahead and now let's use the bow. So we're gonna find our bow hold. We're gonna tuck the instrument in here while we're not using it. Then we're gonna find our bow hold. Just find it on that first ridge of the index finger roughly, and fourth finger, third finger is gonna be a little different. And then we're gonna find that nice bow hold. Thumb tucked in under the shelf, just like so. Now, we're gonna stop the traffic, turn the scroll over, up and in, and shoop, just like that. So now, we're going to be taking the bow. A string right there. The D string. Great. Here's the D string. So as you can see, again on that D major scale, we're just using 1, 2, and 3. So we play the D string, then 1, then 2, then 3. So I'm going to demonstrate that here. I'll put the bow down. So 1, here's the first finger, second finger on the F sharp, third finger on the G. Now open A, B, first finger on B, second finger on C sharp, and finally third finger on D. Again, once you're done with the instrument, make sure you take it, put it under the elbow. So I hope this tutorial was useful and that you were able to learn something, and thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.